Welcome to The Sidelines, Uganda's biggest online show. With me, your host, Sir Simon Muyanga Lutaya. I have a special guest tonight, the Honorable PAUL MWIRU, the Member of Parliament for Jinja Municipality East, and the mover now. What is it? What should I say? Is yet to move a motion that is likely to make storms here. And I have him today to give us details about what that would be. Honorable PAUL MWIRU has moved is planning to move a motion for an amendment to the Constitution, specifically on the election petitions bills, election petitions in our country. It is likely to make serious reforms to the electoral laws, but not only that, but also to the judicial conduct and the judicial management of election petitions. Welcome, Honorable PAUL MWIRU. What is the objective of your bill? First of all, what is it? How is it titled? It could be.
It is titled, actually, there are two bills. There is the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2019, intending to amend the Constitution, and also I have the Parliamentary Elections Amendment Bill, which is a consequence of the Constitutional Amendment. Because once you amend the Constitution, some of the issues are contained in the Parliamentary Elections Act. So to give effect to that amendment, you need to create an amendment, the Parliamentary Elections Act. Of course,
the amendment in the Constitution trickles down
to the Parliamentary Elections Act and the Parliamentary Elections rules. We should have to amend the rules so that they're in consonance with each other, so that there is no conflict. What informs these bills, first is
let's go one by one. Let's start with the major one. They seem to be the same, but I think maybe the process. Let's start with the Constitutional Amendment.
Yes.
What is it and what's the object of it?
What informs before, under the judicial system, as they say that election petitions ought to have been disposed of first as a High Court, as a court of first instance. There would be the Court of Appeal as the appellate court, not before, and then the Supreme Court was the last appellate court. So there was abuse.
The early arrangement.
Yes, there was abuse by the power that be, and that is, I will give reference to the case of Honorable Namboze Bachireke and the Honorable Peter Bakalba Mukasa, where the government made sure that they would dispose of the appeal in the one last year. So we thought the mischief was the delay.
Tactics were.
So we saw that was the biggest problem now, as a mischief. So the law was amended, and we say we can only appeal up the Court of Appeal. Despite the fact that the law provides that the petition must be disposed of within a period of 6 months, this time around there was also still that abuse, that the court sat on those election petitions. They would keep on raising films and reasons. Yes, and even as of now, I know one of Busia, which has never been disposed of. Of Macho and Honorable Taka. It has never been disposed of up to today. There were a lot of hell to do with the time.
3 months into the term of Parliament.
The term, yes, up to now, 3 years almost, nothing that hasn't been disposed of. But the other also, it has been the petitions had become very prohibitive, the costs. That if you lost an election petition, you will be required to pay costs in the High Court and costs in the Court of Appeal. So the costs alone tended to violate people's right to go to court to challenge the results of elections.
That are very primitive.
Of fear. That when I go to court and lose, I'll be made to pay costs in the High Court and the Court of Appeal. That was also the other matter.
Yes,
on top of the delay. Then the other, still it has been that abuse of process.
I hope you are talking to a victim of.
Yes, I am aware I'm talking to a victim of the same. But then the other also still as a victim, because like in the previous elections, the returning officers got orders to declare those who did not win, so they can go to court. They would say declare the one who has not won, so that the other one who has won goes to court, because they knew
that the court process
would take time, and they would manipulate, and at the end of the day, someone who has been sworn in as an MOP he has the financial muscle now to compromise the judicial system, let alone the Electoral Commission.
The fact that he remains earning,
and even creditworthy. He can borrow from when the source to oil the system. So I thought, yes, to oil the system, because this is what I saw. Because I was talking to an MP yesterday, and he told me that, even if you had a good case, it had to be good when you have seen the adjudicators. Otherwise, you are not sure where you are, where it would go. So I thought that the mischief to address is the delay, the manipulation, and also the cost, those three elements. So what did I thought of doing? I thought that if we introduced an election tribunal, or election tribunals, in this case headed by a Justice of Court of Appeal with 4 other judges of the High Court. So a panel would comprise of the 5 people. This would do away with the right of appeal.
Why do you have a Justice of the Court of Appeal on this panel, yet the case after will be referred to the Court of Appeal?
No, actually I'm doing away with the right of appeal. So once that election tribunal, the way the Supreme Court is, it has original and appellate jurisdiction. Once the matter is disposed of, there's no right of appeal, because an appeal is a creature of a statute.
Will you not be challenged by some sections of your colleagues, lawyers, that one's right to appeal is a constitutional right that you cannot violate through a law?
No, actually, an appeal,
actually,
it's not a constitution. An appeal is a creature of a statute. It's a statute creating the right of appeal. And once we are saying that there are safeguards, because even here, one just judge entertains an election petition, and you appeal to 3. You understand? And here I'm saying there should be 5 judicial officers, with the highest being a Justice of the Court of Appeal, with 4 judges of the High Court, who should sit, do an investigation into the matter, entertain the evidence, and I'm saying within a period of 45 days, they must dispose of the appeal.
But depending on how many appeals they have.
No. Actually, that's why we're even giving them the latitude to deliver summary judgments and give the full judgment period of 6 months. So in other words, we are cutting short the time, and they even dispose of these election petitions even before someone being sworn in, the way the presidential is.
So what do you intend to do? You want to hold on the swearing in until the election petition?
Actually, the election petition will be disposed of before the swearing in, because as you know, that elections are conducted in February. So they are more than almost 4 months.
Honorable Paul MWIRU, you're talking to a parliament whose majority are beneficiaries
of electoral fraud.
And you seem to want to clean up the fraud through which they benefit. Is that an easy right for you?
Yes, it is. Actually, even as I talk, my motion is seconded by a number of members of parliament. I've already saturated the motion. The Speaker had a meeting with the Speaker yesterday, and he actually allocated me space on the order paper for tomorrow, when there are private members' business. So tomorrow I expect to move the motion, because it is already there. The motion is seconded by Honorable Jonathan Odul of Verute North and Honorable Patrick Oshabe Samba, among others. The principles are agreeable. There's also, because I've talked to them and I've understood the aspect of certainty. Because also even these guys, those who have also been rigging, and even those who have been unfair loss accused, they have been in Parliament, not settled. So you take 2 years without someone knowing whether it's the MP or another person is the MP. So the constituents have also been missing out on representation. Because whenever they file a petition...
Are you acting as a lawyer who is interested in the rule of law, or as a victim, one who has once suffered these injustices, so you act out of anger or frustration or regret that you must address this matter? What motivates you to?
Actually, both. Because you see, once you go to Parliament as a national leader, I intend to do public good. That's why I've had the benefit with colleagues. Of course, I've met some who are fearing, saying that, you see, Now I'm the incumbent. If I have money and manipulate the system, I find myself here, I deal with the rest. There's a way I can maneuver around the court system and I remain an MP. And to me that is offending in itself. To come from an honorable member to show me how he wants to maneuver. Not having one, to have himself declared and is an MP.
But it's an honest opinion. That's
it is honest. But even then, you see, the law as is, they can also benefit from the same. Because you don't know who will be cheated. I'll give an example. I had a friend of mine called the Honorable Idi Sabidi. Was the MP for either Abunyawa, South, or one of those constituencies. When we were moving, I had the electoral reforms I moved the other time because I wrote the minority report. So he voted against the report. Then he was a victim of the same. So he called me saying, look, I think when you are a leader and you are in power, you must do good so that you benefit out of good. You don't do wrong to expect to benefit out of wrong.
Yeah, because you're staying
and this one does not
a temporary thing.
And this one doesn't target anybody, because when you are making the law must be blunt. We are dealing with the mischief. Because it's not an issue that people have abused time. It's not an issue that people have used the money they get from Parliament to manipulate the judicial system. So not an issue that...
Is that not offending to the judiciary? Where you belong, because you're a lawyer, you're an office of court.
Yeah, actually,
it does not. Is that not offensive?
No. Actually, these are facts. Like I have letters I wrote. I went and met the Chief Justice, and we had a discussion about this. So we want to improve the system, so that even the judges are not also tempted. You know, it is very tempting.
But I still believe that if I have money to manipulate one judge, I can still manipulate one and reach the 5, or I can actually pay all of them.
No, it's not
the
easy.
who have money can pay all of them.
Actually, it's not easy. You see, 5 judicial officers, for instance, it required one to get 50 million to get a judgment at High Court, assuming maybe that's what was being paid. But for you to get money and compromise 5 judicial officers at that rank, it's also not very easy.
Million?
It would be very exorbitant, and more so when you have not been.
You have just spent through the campaigns,
so
and then
nobody would lend you money on the basis of that.
Okay, it sounds beautiful. But the other question now is, why you? Because these are part of the wider electoral reforms. We expect that government should be the one leading in this kind of role or duty. Why you are not government?
And the other question also, why me and not even the entire opposition per se?
That's the other one.
You see, the other time I carried the amendments for the entire opposition. We met a lot of resistance. That there were people on the floor of Parliament who were not even willing to listen. I had the voice of people saying, please stop your good English, you want to vote. But after even the debate, one of the minister told me that you are for the right cause, but it is the wrong timing. So he appreciated the arguments I put across, because the argument were that we needed the reforms. And when we bring reforms, we all benefit. For instance, when we push the reform for giving registers to candidates or just the political parties, everybody has benefited, including those in NRM. Similarly, even in this amendment, even NRM will benefit, because you don't know who will cheat you.
You never know.
You never know. And two, also the other, why I implore my colleagues within the opposition, within Parliament, those of NRM, support these amendments. President Museveni is a cunning gentleman. That every election he needs new members of Parliament. So the first victims are going to be these ones in the Parliament.
Do they know that?
Now I've been impressing it upon themselves to know that even my intelligence has informed me that the president does not want anybody who voted to amend the constitution to be his candidate, because he knows he goes to the voter with the baggage of these are the one who amended the constitution. So we'll ensure that they will have to lose within the NRM primaries. So chances are that the independents who got the polls, the incumbent got the polls as independents against NRM candidates as new candidates, meaning that those to cheat will be those one who will be the new people, not them. So they must make the law fairer to everybody, that they benefit out of the fairness created by the law. But the question is, why me? Why don't I wait for the bigger volumes?
Because they are comprehensive.
I have a problem.
On
yes, I've had a discussion with our Attorney General. I didn't want to run a risk of balkanization of the reforms, and then people say, look, we finished our reform, and then therefore for us we are good to go. That's why President Museveni, in his cunningness, brought his amendment, which benefits him as an individual. What they are going to do now on the wider amendment, they're going to say we are remaining with less than 2 years, therefore we don't have time to deal with these bills. I'm going to appoint a constitutional review commission. The way he did it the other time. Because the other time Mr. Museveni told his minister that, you know, in the parliament we have looked at the reforms are good, but we don't have time to deal with these reforms. I'm going to appoint a constitutional review commission.
Which he did.
He has never. He has never. Because it has never started the work, and if it was good intentioned, even an amendment which benefits him as an individual would have formed part of those reforms. That's the starting point. 2, the reforms coming from the opposition, of course, will be opposed by the choir in parliament, because they will be mobilized and they will be told the president does not want them. So I think that by moving these 2 bills independently and narrowed to issues which are going to affect the next election, I think even the people themselves, the MPs, will realize that this does not only affect them, but also to confer benefits to them.
Have you had enough consultations with the, say, fellow members of parliament, right? But maybe the former victims or the former victims of the same, like me and the others, and the public itself, or your own constituency? Does your own constituency understand this? Have you had consultations?
First, I think you have no doubt in mind that I've litigated in that court in the last 2 general elections. The first
you actually
and the second.
child of courts.
Yes, and I've been coming to parliament through by-elections. I've had the benefit to read almost all the election petition cases before I came to narrow down on which deserving amendments. Because my fear was, like the opposition, the Shadow Attorney General, is ready with his amendments. Actually, he told me yesterday when he knew that I had the bill, because I shared my bills with him. He said, oh, I also have some. What I was fearing also is I had a discussion with him, and it would have been smarter if we moved together. Tomorrow I am seeking leave. He's also going to seek leave next week, also to introduce those bills. But I have no problem consolidating them at a committee stage, and they are handled together, but when they are in the House. But I thought that my bills have more touching, more deserving, which actually, even if not addressed, they will affect the next general elections. For instance, like in the parliamentary elections bill, I talk about a tally center at a constituency level. They have been like you are cheated when they had to correct the results of a county, move them from a county, take them to a district, and then tell you we are still dealing with the presidential elections.
They have presidential,
women
MP, and then the several
constituencies. So they have to delay as they find a way of cheating you. And that's how they have been cheating people. I'm saying the Electoral Commission, the chairman has power to appoint even a Gombola chief as a returning officer for purpose of returning that election. Because the Electoral Commission now has a structure. Under the returning officer, they will do all the nitty-gritties. But when it comes to declaration, they will set up a tally center at a constituency. So we're going to decongest the district tally center, which will only remain with the woman and the president.
It has cost implications.
Yes.
In terms of money.
It doesn't.
It has.
Doesn't.
Cost of implications in terms of money.
Yes.
First of all, you'll have to deploy almost similar resources at each of the constituencies.
Yes, actually,
security, you need to deployment. First of all, you know that elections are chaotic. That there is no doubt about that. You need deployment of security personnel. You need different now heads of. These are different returning officers, one for the district and one for each of the constituencies. You have to facilitate them.
No,
you have election officers of some sort.
Actually, our budget as is, even those who will conduct, because even as we talk now, there are assistant returning officers, or even before reaching where we were, the Electoral Commission used to appoint cows to act as a returning officer. Do you remember?
Yes.
So it would be an assignment of that time. I'll give an example in my election. We didn't use the returning officer of Ginger as a returning officer, Mr. Mwat Anthony. But they appointed Mr. Serunjeju, who is an accountant at the Electoral Commission, because of his integrity and what they know about him, to come and man a very controversial election in Ginger. You understand? Meaning that even now, since they also give allowances, we're only going to appoint a returning officer. The entire structure of Electoral Commission will remain. Under the returning officer, they will do the compilation of the register.
Look, now let's talk about deployment of security personnel.
Yes.
That you have to appoint a team of security personnel at each of the constituencies. Because here, they were collecting from all over and settling in one place.
Actually, it is also misconceived. Under the law allows the Electoral Commission to deploy, to have a police constable at a station, transmit results to a tally center. There's no need of deployment of security. You understand? They have been using that security when they want to rig. But once a tally center is established, you understand, and a tally center is set out, a police constable, and actually even under this law, I'm giving you, because under the law gives you power, your agents to escort ballot boxes to a tally center. The police constable and your agent to escort to a tally center, and they'll be the only people allowed within the tally center. So you don't need security within the tally center.
This somehow points me to the alleged disagreements within the opposition. Why is it not the shadow attorney general presenting your bills so that you give them that semblance of consensus that you have all agreed as opposition in parliament to do this? I thought your shadow attorney general, maybe in response to what the other attorney general will bring, will be presenting some of this. Why you, the individual?
Actually,
so because it's going to come out as the Mwiru bill,
no, actually,
instead of the opposition amendment.
No, actually, the bill is titled, it's a private member's bill first. Under Article 79.
Why would you want to do it as a private member, not as...
No, simply because the law allows me. By virtue, once I was declared as a member of parliament for Ginger Municipality East constituency, I had the right to bring an amendment I deem fit. That's to start with. But two, and most importantly, you see, we talk about very many electoral amendments. But for me, who has been at it, of course, there was no call to bring amendment to start with. But the Shadow Attorney General, in his wisdom, had thought through many. And that's why I'm saying that because I was already ahead, I've had a discussion with him. And we have agreed that once I get leave, that can be a vehicle. Once he gets leave, that can also be a vehicle. We can work together for that purpose.
There's some alleged disagreement or lack of good relationship between you now and your own party, the FDC. Don't you find the risk of being hit by your own?
No, actually, even as we
talk... You become a dissident.
Actually, even as we talk, under the rules, you can do consultation of a bill, which is... You cannot consult on something which is non-existent. That's why under the rules of parliament, when you seek for leave, on your notice of motion, you must attach the draft bill. So it's a draft bill that you go to consult on the people. Actually, even me, not that I had slept without reminding about the same, but I thought about the 2021, when after the Supreme Court judgment, and I knew how courts can mean to be if they decide, because I won an election. The issue which took me to court was to determine who won. And the court did not determine who won. They said they are unable. It did not. It did not.
Your election with Nabeta?
Yes. The question was...
the court to determine who won?
Actually, for me, I had only one issue for determination who won. And the High Court resolved that question, that it's me who won, by evidence. So the Court of Appeal failed to determine that issue and said we go back and we direct people determine who won. Oh. That's the gist of my judgment.
How then did sure?
Yes.
How did the court misdirect itself to a question that had not been brought before it?
Actually, when it comes to evaluation of evidence, they did it very well. They did it in the last one paragraph, and they say painstakingly they cannot maintain the decision of High Court, of course, which is understandable. In the
so they never answered the question you put before.
It was one question, who won? And the court resolved that it's me who had won.
The Court of Appeal
got shy in determining who won.
And sent you back to...
And said the people should go and determine again who had won. Go and redo the question they had already answered. Of course, at an expense, not only in terms of money, but even in terms of health-wise. Subjecting yourself to an electoral process in that way, twice in less than 2 years, it has a toll on someone's health.
Perhaps the court thought that the people knew better who won.
No. Actually, there were results. They even upheld, they even came to a conclusion that the data form which had been used to declare the other guy was a forgery. And but they argued that mine was correct. But said, however, we should go back for by-election. Of course, I was cheated, to be very sincere.
Thank you very much. On the sidelines, we'll wait for the results of Parliament. We'll wait for what happens tomorrow when you follow up. But I hope you must have done wider consultations. Otherwise, you seem to be headed for an uphill task to convince Parliament, the biggest beneficiary of electoral fraud, to allow your motion that seeks to clean up the electoral system, which, if cleaned, would see many of them
not
out
up to Parliament.
Out of Parliament.
I have convinced them. You know, I was talking to one, the new one, that the attrition rate in Parliament is more than 80%. So you don't do wrong things thinking that you're going to be in Parliament. And that's what guides me. When I'm in Parliament, I do the correct, because next time I'll be out of Parliament. I don't want to take benefit of the illegal things I did. That's what guides me. Even that Parliament, you may have less than 30% in the next Parliament.
Oh, so you're also aware of that?
I am. Simply because the people marking the exam for MPs don't mark them basing on the role of an MP. No, our politics has been reduced to relief and rehabilitation. You understand? So the people are not going to look for the best legislator in some constituencies. They're going to look at who has been relating with them in terms of relief and rehabilitation. That one will carry the day.
Thank you. We'll wait for that result. Honorable Paul MWIRU, Member of Parliament, Jinja Municipality East, and now the mover of the motion that seeks to amend the Constitution to establish a new mechanism of handling election petitions. His system seeks to eliminate the appeal process and leave a tribunal and create a tribunal of 5 judges headed by Justice of the Court of Appeal to determine election petitions at one level once and for all.
Akarakazanyo sawa yakola season esooka ne Security Link Limited kampuni etwala abakozi ebweru ku kyeyo tugayala yingira akaluka n'ofuna omukisa ogenda ku kyeyo ebweru nga buli kimu kikusasuliddwa passport, visa, air ticket byonna Security Link ebikusasulidde. Ekyokola kyangu nnyo laba Bukedde TV olulaba oba n'owuli akalango ka Security Link Limited wandika essaawa omukutu kw'obadde erinnya lyo ne gy'obeera biteeke mu bbaasa obirete ku ofiisi zaffe Mengo oba e Makerere olwoyingire butereevu mu kalulu kano tosubwa tuli mwansi emirimu tugirina egy'aba maids bakilinazi n'abakuumi tukubire ku ssimu okumanya ebisingawo 0782 35 51 34 oba 0700 38 08 Security Link Limited.
Welcome to Exotic Hair Salon, where we offer you the exotic touch on all hair, beauty and nail services at very affordable prices. We are committed to giving you a maiden look that will last for many years to come. Do not be left out. Come and be part of the exotic experience. Visit our branches in Kamocha opposite Parkyard and Tinda at Taruna Shopping Mall First Floor. Please call 0704 695 341, 0702 878 522 or 0776 878 522. Exotic Hair Salon. Take yours off with our professional touch.
Hotel Africana. Come as a guest and leave as a friend.